Matt Eberflus has been fired as a Bears head coach, and I can tell you for a fact that Bears Nation is extremely happy about that. Heading into the season, the Bears had one of the best young offenses in the NFL, and number one pick with Caleb Williams. And while the Bears obviously don't have like the best defense in the NFL, it's still very respectable, right? So just high expectations leading into the season and only winning like 5, 6 games so far. For me, who's not even like some diehard lifelong Bears fan, if you are that has to be extremely frustrating to see how this team has turned out. I say this every time somebody criticizes the Bears or even really the coaching. That game in Washington was really just a turning point, in my opinion. If you win that game, I think that you have an insane amount of confidence heading into New England, and I think you win that game too. Now, I also want to share with you a stat that we find very interesting here at the Hendrix Live headquarters. We have the best stats. Okay, Matt Eberflus has the worst record at 5-17 in games decided within 7 points. Now, that stat, while it's a very telling stat, it's a little misleading. When he inherited the team back in 2021, 2022, it's not like they were that great either, right? But when you look at what your job is as a head coach in professional sports, your job is to have your team prepared and make in-game adjustments. And through his career with the Bears, clearly at 5-17, he's shown that he can't get the job done. So all that being said, you need to have a stable organization for your number one pick. So you got rid of the coach. Now we can't just cycle through coaches every 2 to 3 years. If you keep cycling through coaches every 2-3 years, Caleb won't develop properly. Even for as great as he is, he can't overcome bad coaching, right? There's a few coaching candidates out there. I highly doubt Bill Belichick will be one of them. I'll be interested to see my buddy Craig's what his thoughts on that. But I'm hearing guys like Joe Brady, an offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator for the Lions. So we'll see. But at the end of the day, you just have to provide consistency for your franchise quarterback. Lonzo recently said he doesn't have Kobe Bryant on his Mount Rushmore because he has the most missed shots in NBA history. Lonzo's from Chino Hills, California. We just don't tolerate Kobe Bryant slander where I'm from. All that being said, it's very subjective. I don't get into conversations about Mount Rushmores. It's just the reason why you don't have them on there. That's something I find interesting. LeBron James has the most turnovers per game in NBA history at this point. So does that make him the worst passer of all time? Kobe is one of the best two-way players of all time. He went up against some of the best defenders in the league. Never complained about an injury. He even played through them. I can make a case to you. That's why he has, probably not the best shooting percentage. He never complained about an injury. He played through them. Right now we have a load management issue in the NBA. So I don't think that you'll see a guy play through as many injuries. The guy played through a broken pinky in the NBA finals. I just don't know how many guys would be willing to do something like that, right? I don't really care if you have Kobe in your Mount Rushmore. You won't see too much pushback from me on that. But where I will push you back on is having Kobe Bryant outside of your top 10. Again, one of the best two-way players of all time. I'm not replacing him with Steph Curry or any of these guys that you're talking about. In some real quick Laker news, Vando is still experiencing swelling in his knee and is targeting a return in early January. That to me really just isn't saying much. Are we saying that he's going to be ready to practice by that time? Is he going to be ready to play at some point in January? Vando hasn't played a game in like 2 years. I really feel like the Lakers front office, they're waiting for him to return to fully evaluate this team. I just don't think that can stop you from making trades or even moving on at some point. The problem is you don't know what kind of player Vando will be when he comes back. He's honestly a defensive specialist. Will he lose a step? Will he not even be able to keep up with some of these guards like, Jamal Murray, Steph Curry? All these guards are giving the Lakers problems. And Vando has proven to be, to give the offense on the other side a tough time. So yeah, we do miss him. We have one of the worst defensive in the league. He doesn't offer anything offensively to you in terms of shooting, but having that defensive specialist there is just something the Lakers have been lacking. I think JJ Redick has been doing great. I really do think he's going to be a good NBA coach. The problem is your second best player is a 40-year-old LeBron James. Anthony Davis has proven throughout the years that he'll play really good for 4 or 5 games, but then that motor will run out. So what JJ really has to focus on, in my opinion, is getting everybody else like your Ruiz, your Austin Reeves, Dalton Connect, who I really like as a shooter. He's one of the most consistent shooters I've seen put on a Laker uniform in a really long time. So I do feel like we have decent pieces, but where JJ needs to figure this thing out is how to get everybody else in rhythm while keeping the other two doing what they do, right? And that's just that's the challenge with this team right now. I don't want to be the guy to talk about trades this early on into the season. I'm sure there's conversations. I've said before, I do think the Lakers need a big man. I think they need a big man. I even think they could use a backup point guard. D'Lo's so up and down. You just need somebody who's consistent at this point. I don't think they should even. This might be like an unpopular opinion, and I'm not saying that he's better than D'Lo, but Scottie Pippen Jr. is pretty good at like 22, 23 years old. He's proven with the Memphis Grizzlies to be a quality backup, and I think we could really use something like that. D'Lo's more of a scoring guard. He's decent at passing for sure, but he's more of a scoring guard. He's like a streaky point guard, while Scottie Pippen Jr. is more of a traditional point guard. I wish we weren't so quick to move on from him,